3 of being this has also been a journey for me. I started it around a few years back, and then moved, and then I met this person I live in called on the area, and I met this person at a coffee shop, and then she told me about Debbie and Shanti yoga, and it was like, okay, and just all these things coming together. So just leading my way through it slowly. I have autoimmune challenges, so it's like just been like a thing. So I'm working through it. So part of it is for myself, and then also my goal is to like move myself out of my job and do an LCSW. And so I'm trying to move myself out of being a therapist and doing more yoga and things like that. So for life in a different way. So yeah. I'm just like, I'm very sensitive today. I just started really good last night. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
Just a heads up, just feeling my feels today. So if you see me crying, that's just because I don't really have space to do that. It's just that usually lands on the working or something. So see how it feels today. Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to speak that truth for myself.
Well, good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Doug. I am trying to get into my 200-hour certification. And going to immediately launch my 300 with a focus on yoga, qigong, integration. I come from an energy worker background. I gained one of those quote-unquote cool kids. So my mom always told stories about me wandering around touching people going, "Are you okay?" At age 3. So this has been a fantastic, quick journey. I can't believe years ago on by. So anyway, I'm going to be transitioning out of corporate America, not my choice. I've struggled with the fact that the universe has been slapping me upside the head for 53 years. And so this is an opportunity to launch into doing more yoga energy work. I have some opportunities that are coming up in the city area where I live. So I can make the offline courses up there. And my main focus is going to be on mobility for a lot of folks up there because I'm 55 and the folks that I run into are like 35 and they're like, you need some mobility work. So anyway, long story short, that's where I am and that's what
Thank you. And see what I was going to say. I was just going to say. Yeah, you did rowing in Portland.
I've done paddling. I played rugby for 10 years.
Your body is okay.
I fell off the ladder 5 years ago when I separated the shoulder to the point where I couldn't put back in. So did I.
Talk about that yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah. That was the one story she told. She's like, this will never happen in your life. But then she was like, well, maybe if somebody's had a separated shoulder piercing. She said they were there pictures and they tell you this one like this. And your shoulder popped up.
Oh, yeah.
I have a story.
I was playing rugby at the time. My shoulder was a horrible shape. Thank you for anything. It's like, hey, and he just goes, and he's like, is that your shoulder? I'm like, yeah, fine. But yeah, it grows them out a little bit. Yeah, it's fine.
She moved on from it.
No, I did other things, but It was just fun that night. Sorry, you have a story as well?
Yes. It has, this is good. I remembered my thread. It was, you guys said that yesterday. She was saying you'll never have to worry about a shoulder separation in yoga or something. What did Angela
She
say?
said somebody was doing cactus on us, somebody was doing this for a picture, they just got like here.
Yeah.
Well, the she said it's not that before. So.
I thought that you're saying something that, that people aren't going to fall off a ladder in yoga. But having a studio for so long, I was just talking to, because I teach sub at True North some, and there's somebody that's coming into their studio and they're having to lock the door. Anyway, so I was trying to reassure them, and like stuff happens. All together, probably had a studio for 40 years. I had one for 10 years in in Columbia, Missouri, and then up in McCall, and I guess that's only 35 years. Okay. So anyway, I said, in those 35 years, that's only happened to me twice, but it's really scary when you have to forbid someone from coming to your studio for fear of their safety or for fear of the other people's safety. But it happens now and then. So yeah, I think that is kind of you have to protect yourself. But on the other hand, I was going to say, I've had more really odd things happen, like up in McCall, there was a bride and her mother, and they were up there to have a wedding, and the bride kicked up and smacked in a handstand and smacked her mother in the face, and her mother had to go do the wedding the next day with just all this, damage on her jaw and everything like that. And then another thing happened. I wasn't teaching; it was a special workshop, and somebody had got a separated shoulder from just doing Warrior 2. It just went out, and which it happens. Those of you who have shoulder issues, it can do that. My husband, we were kayakers, and I was always having to get your shoulder back in there type of thing. So, yes, just weird stuff happens. I've had people, their hip went out, not just, so we had to have ambulance come. So it's the safest things, like cactus or Warrior 2, kicking up into your daughter's face, probably, or your mom.
That's yoga with Great Danes.
Yeah. So, did you tell about your Great Danes?
No, we do Great Dane rescue as well. So I've got 4 Great Danes, and I've got a 7-month-old puppy who's been joining me in my daily yoga practices. Usually right underneath me as I'm doing down dog. Hi.
Yeah.
You should definitely take those.
Yeah, I will.
Just like the quilted guy, we all love Benji.
Yeah.
At some point, we'll probably follow in the steps of Finley.
Yeah.
No, really.
Dogs.
And then-
You guys get under you back.
It's part of the heritage.
Yeah, dogs and babies. I talk about my 7-month-old grandbaby a lot, and we'll be talking about that because they both have some similarities in that there is an innocence there. I mean, yes, there's program things like in all of us. We all have programming. I'll mention myself, since I'm all about this Swedish thing that we're going to be having. I'm 100% Swedes, which I was told from the moment I could hear, you are a Swede. You will marry a Swede. And, this is up in Minnesota. That's why I'm 100% Swedish, because people, join in little communities and they marry, hopefully not each other's cousins, but, it's a pretty tight little group. But we are known for being very restrained and very cold, warm at the heart, but pretty minimalistic. And we don't go around, giving hugs and kisses. So, and I'm married an Irishman, so it's been good for me. We have our nature, our true nature, but we also have the ability to take care of our true nature. I don't know why I'm going to deviate into this right now, but I am. So really the early roots of yoga started, as you all know, about 5,000 or maybe even further ago than that, 5,000 BCE, or probably Leslie Kaminoff, who was one of my favorite teachers. His book's over there somewhere, but he says it started whenever people first have time to sit down for a moment and kind of go, WTF, how do we deal with this kind of stuff? And they talked about it and came up with this technology of yoga. So around that time, Ayurveda started, and Ayurveda, are you all interested or knowledgeable about that at all? Yeah, so that's kind of the fact that we are all unique. We do have a unique, specific expression of the elements that we're born with, and kind of like dogs or anybody, and so it's good to know that so that you can adjust it. If you are, I'm a Vata, which means I'm very airy, and for me, doing things that ground me are really important. For people that are more, Kapha, that are more grounded, they might need more fire and more energy. So I won't go into that too much, but I think that that's important to recognize that we're all very different, and yet that diversity is our strength as a species, I guess, as life, as something that's living. If you get to go to Galapagos, where you'll see the preservation of all kinds of species right before you, and they're not constrained by hunting or anything like that, you'll see that they are so unique and so diverse, but so searching for that life force. They recognize it, that I want to live. I want to. The babies, the mama seals go off and leave them for weeks at a time, and leave the babies there with enough, I guess they give them enough milk or whatever to last them for a while. And you walk on the beaches and little babies are just moms. But then, another mom will come up and the babies will start running towards the mom, and she's like, "You're not my baby, get out of here," and vice versa. So it's a really interesting thing, this thing that we call life force, this thing we call prana. And that is what we want to, that's really the purpose of yoga, is to get rid of the stuff that is keeping us from seeing our uniqueness, seeing our true voice, and from taking in as much prana, distributing it within our own bodies, but then sharing our energy with others. So that's the point of yoga. It's a tool that those people thousands and thousands of years ago kind of sat around and said, I think this is important. I think we have differences, but I think we all have this will to live, to grow, and it's going to be better off if we help each other. And it's going to be better off if we take a moment to sit and meditate and consider what's our best action, instead of just boom, and dragging people off into the woods and doing whatever. So that's kind of, to me, what yoga is trying to understand ourselves, understand how we fit into this huge network of life, and taking in and distributing within our own body as much energy as possible to bring our vibration up, to help us become more who we really are, and able to share and give to the rest of the world as much as we can. So in a nutshell, that's the philosophy of yoga. So in one of those handouts I gave you, I don't have one for me, so you can look at that. You can see the picture of on the one side of somebody in Sukhasana who is sitting cross-legged, but has their skin, obviously all you can see is the chakra system. So this is their view of anatomy. Okay. Yesterday, if you flip it over, you probably learned a little bit about physiology. I think, did she talk a little bit about physiology? Or mostly skeletal stuff.
She mostly did the spine.
Yeah, which is great. And with that knowledge of it, the spine, you can kind of just, or what's that word? Put on top of this interface. That was the word I was looking for. Interface that knowledge with this skeleton, with this diagram. I love both these. I actually have a better picture of this, but I couldn't find it in my journal. So, but this, you can kind of see what's going on, and I'll describe it more to you in a moment. But this is pretty much how the ancient yogis believed things worked. So this is a image of someone that is this okay if I just can hold it like that? I think it'll be fine. So, because you can feel it on your own self. So you know your bones, here's your bones, it's like the framework. And within the center axis of our body, there is the yogis. I'm going to start with that because you kind of had all that other stuff yesterday, and I think you're probably more familiar with that. You might be familiar with this as well. But it's believed that there is a center axis, the Sushumna, and on either side of the Sushumna, coming from the second chakra here, there is a female river, I'll say, that runs up along that Sushumna. So it's just like our river system here in Idaho. We have the main snake, or the main Payette, and then we have the tributaries of it. And then on the right side is the Pingala, which is the feminine, which is the masculine. Okay, so this is considered the yang energy, the more active. This would be the more, if you're going back to Ayurvedic, this would be when the Pitta energy, Pitta fire, getting her done. That's from this right side. This side is a little more receptive. I need to look. I need to consider. They're both important. The parasympathetic response is usually that part of our nervous system is usually associated with the Ida, the feminine, and the sympathetic with the yang, the Pingala. And is everybody pretty clear on all that right now? Anybody have any questions or thoughts? Okay, so from here, this center axis with these two long meandering, where they cross are the different chakra points, and the chakra points are really, they're mapping metaphorically who we are. They're mapping with our physiology, the metaphor of life. And who is not aware of chakras at all? Is anybody not aware? So you guys can just be laying your own information on all of this. There's so much to this. And when I first started taking a lot of yoga classes, I was working on my doctorate in exercise physiology, and I was very much like, kind of, yeah, I'll let these guys talk about all that stuff, angels and chakra, all of that. And even before that, I studied psychology, and even in psychology, I was like, I want to be, action, reaction, stimulus, response type of that thing. So, but as I've grown to love it and know it deeper, I understand that it is not just woo. There's very much truth to it, and so I find it fascinating to see how prescient, how I don't know better word than prescient. Just they understood so much, those early yogas, of our Western view of anatomy just by observation, just by being really, they understood it. We better get still so we can think and figure things out. And in doing so, they came up with this system that we call the technology of yoga, which pretty much mirrored Western. So if you look at the back, and again, I don't have to look at it. So that's a really quick overview. Oh, and I didn't mention this. I want to go to Chinese medicine. So this wasn't totally in a vacuum at this time. There was a lot going on throughout this period because evolutionary. Aren't you kind of an anthropological person? Okay, so please jump in whenever you want. Okay, but things started happening at the same time, and so across the globe, so that you had India is where this philosophy grew up. In China, that's where we have the Chinese medicine. We have the idea rather of chakras and of
I didn't mention the word nadis yet. Nadis are the little rivulets that carry prana throughout your body. In China, it was meridians, and it's called qi. Prana, qi. I'm pointing at him, Doug, because he's going to take us through some qi work. So, and a lot of this was facilitated by trade, right? By people, Marco Polo, you can play Marco Polo if you want. But anyway, yeah, it's, that's why these things, though I was going to say almost the wires started, mixing and matching, and people, even in India, and I'm sure even in China, different areas develop different patterns. A story that you heard about, Humanuman in southern India might be different than what you hear in northern India. And in China, I'm guessing it was the same way. But there's a regional influence on how this is, just like in language. So, anybody have anything to say about that? Because there's a lot more than just Chinese and Indian philosophy. I think the Chinese probably affected Lao Tzu, the I Ching, probably affected other, Asian countries. I spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia, which is very Buddhist, and also Bali, and going to Bhutan, coming up here. So yeah, all this is, is starting to morph in these different countries. We have Jainism, Buddhism, Taoism, many isms that are all just birthing during this time. Do you have anything else you want to add there?
No.
Okay, yeah. So we, in the past, I don't think anybody, maybe Mary was here before when we were at Boise River Yoga, and we would get into some big talks. Doug and a couple other dudes, actually.
Yeah,
there were like 3 guys,
Yeah.
which was kind of weird. But you guys were all like kind of,
Well, because we were also bringing in the fact that the Indian and Chinese have written structures where some of the cultures didn't, but the shamanic cultures also have, the chakra system. They don't call it that; they call it something different.
Yeah.
But it's the same truth, or
Yeah.
key of truth that runs through them all.
yeah,
And it's fascinating as you start digging into it. You're like, oh, I recognize this.
yeah, it really is. And Mayan culture, and we packed the Grand Canyons, numerous times, and we'd climb up in there and be like, wow, just learning about those cultures, the Hopis and all that. It's really cool, and it is kind of like truth is truth. And so
We got into a conversation the other day about medicine.
The medicine.
In some cultures, the north is the start,
uh-huh.
where east is usually the start, and
Yeah.
the sunrise to the sunset.
Yeah,
But like a Hopi, they come from the underworld. So
Yeah.
for them, the start reveals itself. So, but it's the same energies.
yeah. So I think that's a reminder for us that there's truth that we all share, and that should remind us not to be super dogmatic and to be open and respectful, which I'm sure you all are, or you wouldn't be here. But yeah, it's I think that's really interesting. I wanted to read this to you, and I'm kind of fascinated by the whole thing. I'm probably gonna make a copy of the whole thing for you. I don't know if I ended up making part of a copy of this. I don't think I did. Nope, I didn't. But this is a really cool teacher. His name is Don Stapleton. Has anybody heard of Don Stapleton? And he wrote, I can't remember his book. He wrote, maybe it'll come in here, but it's called Interdisciplinary Yoga. So I didn't study with him. I've read his books and read his stuff, but I just think this is a good time to bring this in. Yoga as a living bridge from the ancients to our future. In our interdisciplinary view of yoga, it is our intention to inspire each yoga teacher to experiment with many systems and approaches of alignment in order to facilitate a practical understanding of what works best for their own body, personality, and inspiration for teaching. In our presentation of alignment in the posture techniques, we've integrated a variety of approaches which will stimulate your own inquiry into what you will be choosing to teach. So he's specifically talking about his school of yoga. By the way, it's Nosara down in Costa Rica. I haven't studied with him first, or I think he's still alive, but that's where he started. You will notice that we have not limited the conversation of alignment to strictly the defined schools of yoga, like Iyengar, Ashtanga, blah, 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 blah. In fact, we view yoga as an evolving body of knowledge and experience. If we had to look into the past for the ultimate authority for what the true yoga might be, we would again be heading down the path of separating off from our own internal wisdom. We believe that this is a defining era in human evolution, and that the path of yoga provides a powerful guide for refining the possibilities for integrating mind, body, and spirit. Some interesting facts contribute to our view that humans are not the finished product of evolution as we are currently living our lives on this planet. So I won't go into this too much, but basically it's incumbent upon us to keep our minds open and to understand that we are evolving the practice of yoga, and it has evolved. And he goes on to talk a lot about, he goes, with the rise of, and this was written probably in maybe the 80s. With the rise of militant fundamentalism, it is possible that we are being called to evolve into a new way of being in relation to culturally and ideologically diverse groups, other than arming and attacking all groups who follow another set of beliefs as their ultimate source of authority. What if we were being asked to move beyond our beliefs about what I think his book's called Beyond Belief. That's what I think it is. What if we were being asked to move beyond our beliefs about what we hold to be our non-negotiable concepts of reality, and are asked to enter into relationship with people of differing perspectives for the purpose of creative new views of living on the planet together? Could this be the dawn of an age in which authentic relationship begins to replace authority and our past patterns of being right at all costs? As when we open to the possibility that yoga is evolving, as is the universe, then we are able to entertain the idea that yoga itself, although it did originate in the Hindu culture, is actually a human phenomenon, not limited to its culture of origin. And again, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but when I was going through my notes, that's been the most fun thing about, I think, starting to move and collect my things is it's like, this is really fascinating stuff, and just kind of reviewing it and all that is great. By the way, what he does is a lot of, in his school, which I used it when I wrote the manual. I do give him credit there. This is from Don Stapleton, but he's very much experiment. When a teacher tells you shoulders, right above your hips and blah, 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 experiment within your own body. What feels right to you? This is especially important as you get more advanced. As you're a beginning student, maybe you need some pointers, like when you're beginning to ride a bike, watch out for cars. That's we all need to do that. And then you can move on to other things. So anyway, we'll go into that more, but I really love finding this old article in my notes. Okay, so we've kind of done our observation, and I think you guys know about me. I won't say too much, other than the fact that this has really been a passion of mine from the very early time I could remember thinking, and that is just, understanding what makes us happier, what is our gift, and how can we help others to figure that out as well. And just the fact that it's open, that, things are changing, and when we grab on to feeling like this is the only way and all that, it can shut off our growth, which brings me back to the science part. So if you need to, I'm going to talk just a little bit longer, but if you need to do something like this, do it. But we live because we remove waste. We live because we don't put a membrane around us where we don't hear other people and we don't go out. We live because we're interbeing. And the very biology of our body is the best example of this. We have 100 trillion cells in our body, and every cell has a membrane that is porous. If it weren't porous, we would not be alive, because the porousness that we take things in and we send things out is what allows us to live, right? So it's the same thing in our psychology, in our philosophy. I was listening to an NPR story, and it was of a rabbi, and I don't know that much about the hierarchy of rabbis, but I know he was a really famous rabbi. He was like maybe up on the, way up there, and was very esteemed, and people asked him to come and speak, and considered very holy, very spiritual. And the interviewer said, "Did you ever question your faith?" And he's like, "Hell yes, of course." He goes, my belief would not be what it is had I not questioned. If I took everything because I was told it was so, then I wouldn't really have that depth that now I have, because I've gone in and really questioned and tested and come out where I know. It wasn't before, oh, sure, yes, I gotcha. It's I get it. Oh yeah, I know that. I understand that. So I think that's really important, and that's the essence of yoga is that openness. So our physiology is open. We're always trying to bring balance between what we need to bring in and what we need to let go of. We're always looking for space within each cell. We don't want to carry around a bunch of dis-ease in each cell, a bunch of garbage. But also, on the other hand, we also need to, our life is interdisciplinary, or interbeing, because things out there need us. Obviously, trees need carbon dioxide, and we need their oxygen. But on an even more broad level, we need each other. We need each other, just to thrive. You see situations where babies were, what was the Russian thing where they had babies that didn't get any love when they were young, and there you have a problems. We to thrive and to grow, we need each other. So that's my little lecture on that. So today we're going to be talking about waste removal. Okay, so any questions? I'm going to see if I can really quickly spot my favorite anatomy book, because he is a funny guy. He's from New York City, and he is a little, what's the word? A little eccentric. He's a little neurotic too. He's a, oh God, I wish there was a better way to say this. What's that?
Cowboy?
He's nope, not a cowboy.
What do you call what?
He's an instigator of, he's
Oh, he likes to stir the shit.
He's a monster.
Imposter.
Yeah. So he's like that, and he likes to give these lectures where people are like, huh? I don't know where I put that. Oh, maybe it's here. But I've already said everything he said. It basically that it's, we have to get stuff out of us. We have to remove. As you can imagine by my description of it, you can imagine what he said, because he's not very PC. How's that?
There's one anatomy book here I was looking at. Is this it?
Yes. Oh, thank you. Yes. And I just love this. Poor Deb. What a wonderful time you've had.
looking forward to morning. Yeah, but, you know, yoga lessons from the cell. If you buy a yoga book, and someone can probably take this from me. I love this picture of this cell, and he talks about, this is your, he says breathing is basically a shape change. That's all it is. When we're in our mother's womb, our mom is breathing us. When we get out, it's the universe that's breathing us. It's basically a shape change. As our brain is trying to keep us alive, it is kind of like a carbon dioxide detector. Goes up, there's too much carbon dioxide in this body, so it signals the diaphragm to expand, so oxygen comes in. Oh, now we have too much oxygen, and it closes. So his point is, that's basically, there's a lot more than what I'm saying in here about that, but that's basically what's happening, is that we are intervening with every breath we take. You know, when we're in the room, our mom's doing it, but when we're out, we need this whole thing to happen. And the shape change is this: your lungs are like they're like an accordion, or like a water balloon that you can squeeze stuff out. So when you breathe in, you know, the volume expands, it's full, the shape gets big, but when you exhale, the volume decreases, and that's what gets our body to do all the stuff we need to breathe. Our belly is not, it's like a water balloon that, or maybe a better description would be, it'd be like a ball that has fluid in it, and you can squish it, but nothing's coming out. So it can, you know, when your chest expands, your belly's gonna expand, your back, and release, it goes up like that. Now, of course, there's the pooping, all that kind of stuff is happening. And that's where things need to shift around a little bit. But that's his description, is basically breathing is a shape change of your body. And so, and it's part of that intervening. Any questions on any of that? So in our head, the yogis also understood, let's go ahead and stand up just for a moment since you've been sitting down for a minute. In our head, and in our body, we carry a lot of extra stuff that we would be better off getting rid of. You know, it would be to our benefit to not have, obviously, tension is an easy one. And there's other things too. In our brain, there's carrying around thoughts that cause us dis-ease. By that I mean, you know, like we're, you know, I just can't get over this panic feeling I have, or whatever. Maybe on the other side, I can't do anything. So what we're trying to do in all of our yoga practice, physically, spiritually, and mentally, is to clear out the rubbish. So let's just begin by separating our feet a little bit, and we're coming into this horse stance, and we're just going to feel as if we are literally just squeezing stuff out. So to start out with, we're just going to squeeze our fists, squeeze your face, come down a little bit lower with your hips and squeeze all the muscles in your body. Let's squeeze our mouth too. Do a really tight jaw, pursing your lip. Let it go. I'm not very good at doing it. Can somebody do a horse thing? There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Just shake it out and shake it out, shake it out. And I'm sure all you guys seem like you're kind of savvy in social sciences, but let's just do this. And when this from done, if you've read the book, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, you probably read about this study where animals have a greater innate ability to let go of that, let go of tension, let go of the waste products of the sympathetic nervous system. Okay, so just kind of giving yourself a shake, and this comes from, forgive me for
not knowing exactly what I'm talking about, but kind of knowing it just enough to get myself in danger. This comes from that Chinese
Qigong style.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
Doesn't that feel good? Yeah. And so then we're going to do a crashing wave, which might as well. The guy that I got most of the stuff from is Max Strom, who's very much into Qigong. So, and he called this crashing wave. You just kind of go like this, kind of like, and you do that again. And one more time. Okay. And then just take a moment here, and you might shift your feet a little bit. We're just going to talk about the chakras here in this position, and then we'll sit down, but we've been sitting down a lot. So you might, anytime you want to shift side to side, we'll go back to sitting pretty soon. But if you think about this, and I'm not going to mirror you because I'll probably forget. Maybe I better stand like this. I'll stand like this. Okay, so on the right side, right here, that's going to be your Pingala in your low belly. Okay, so right here. And then the left is your Ida, the feminine side. So this is where a lot of the techniques come in, where you like alternate nostril breathing, which we'll do in a moment, but just kind of feeling that energy. And we're thinking of it as coming about the second chakra. What is unique about the second chakra? Does anybody, what happens in the second chakra? Does anybody know?
It's reproductive. It's
Reproductive,
beginning of life.
beginning of, so this is where, it's called a Svadhisthana, and this is our sacred seat. And it's called the Brahma Vihara in yoga as well. It's the house of the Uddiyana Bandha as well, which we'll go into more. In Chinese medicine, it's the Dantian. So this little area in a lot of these philosophies is considered very important. I was just reading Don Ruiz's book that's for secrets. What is that one called?
Is it the four agreements?
Yes, Four Agreements, thank you. Yeah, but I'm sure that in that too. So this is the seat of our, the center of us, our soul, our uniqueness. Our legs, and from here down, our pelvic floor, our hip sockets, our feet, these are all considered like your roots. This is the seed right here, okay? So second chakra is, I'm unique. I have a specific gift to bring this world. This is where our dharma is born, our little d dharma. And this is the belief that, and this is called the Brahma Vihara sacred seat, sacred home, and our sacrum is called the sacred bone. Sacrum means sacred bone. So just taking your hands like this and just kind of feeling that area right there. So your sacrum right here and your belly right here. Thinking of this as the base of a fire. Let's just say the base, at the beginning of a fire, right down here. We already described the Pingala and the Ida. Okay, so from here, and then if you draw your hands up, we have the different chakras. This is the Manipura chakra. This is our will. Okay, so here is where we belong to the earth. Here is where I belong to the earth, but I have a gift to bring to the earth. I have a uniqueness. Here's where I have will. I have strength. And then of course here is where I can receive and give love and affection. And I always think it's important to remember that your arms can be part of this as well. And here's your throat. This is where you speak your truth. The fifth chakra and the second chakra have a very important connection with each other. The second chakra down here, it's where it's the feminine. It's where our dharma, our seed is born. This is masculine, yang. This is where our seed is expressed. And then we have our third eye, I see, and we have our crown, I know. So this is considered how the hierarchical aspect of the chakras works on us. Now, this is probably what got me when I was first studying chakras, are there little wheels, because chakra means wheels, are there little wheels, if you did a dissection, would you see? No, of course not. I used to believe it. I can't dissect it. I'm not going to believe it. But it's like butterflies in your stomach. It's a metaphor. It's a metaphorical map for you. Does it have to do with organs and whatnot in your body? Yeah, it does. I mean, our legs and our hips, our pelvic floor are considered our stability, our roots. One of my favorite teachers, Vonda Scarabelli, says you should consider from your navel down your root. That would be your hips, and it's even your seed. This is a seed in the earth. This is all earth. These are roots. And then up here, she says, this is where we begin to grow. This is where, with this being balanced, obviously this all affected Maslow's hierarchy of needs, as we have this stabilized here and open and free and feeling balanced and safe and unique, how we have all that stuff, now we can start growing our will, we can start believing in our own ability to do things, to say no to things and push things out that we don't want, and to accept things we do. We have the will to bring stuff that I kind of don't want to let go because I liked it in the first place, and that's why I bought it. But I can do that, So this is where we're really going to focus on today. This Manipura chakra, and this is the fire, and this is where the alchemy really happens. I have thought of different names for this thing, and I wanted to name it that alchemy for a while, and then I went to soma and soul, blah blah blah. So this is where we're going to be thinking of. We're taking this stuff, churning it. If you think of old, in the days of Harry Potter, or whatever, where they're mixing things with it, churning, making things into gold or whatever. This is where that's going to happen, right in here. This is where we get her done. And then up here is our heart. And because we've done all this stuff, then our heart can be open. And our heart is also considered a center. This is a center. This is the center of our chakra system. Everything below here is earthly, earth, water, fire. Here we're air. It's also an element that's real. The wind blows on you or whatever. Once we get up here, now we start going into rarefied air and into space and into above the elements. So it's just kind of, I'm going to have you feel that whole thing in your body and realize that this is all connected. Your arms are part of the heart, but also part of your authentic voice. Your ears can be part of your listening, but also part of your intuition, and so on and so forth. So, since we're here, I think it'd be kind of a fun thing to do a balance pose. And if you want, you could go to a wall and do it, but I'm going to stand with my back to you again and stand on my left leg and feel from here down that I am a root. Here's my seed, here's the sacrum, here's my belly, here's my Uddiyana Bandha, I'm pulling it in and lifting. And then from here, keeping this solid, begin to tap your right foot and just kind of swing any amount. And just notice how important this part of your body is, physiologically, but psychologically, to being able to balance here. You might take your knee up, or you might take your knee back. But just feeling the importance of those first chakras, as well as your will to bring your body into that balance, okay? So doing that a few times. If you want to take it into a pose like tree pose, you could bring your right foot to your right heel to your ankle, or bring your right foot up higher, or whatever feels good. But we're just going to feel for a moment that physiological action of your lower chakras supporting what's happening above. And I should add that your gaze point, which is very much part of your third eye, by fixing on one thing, that will help you find your balance as well.
Okay, so just noticing those things. You might visualize those little whirling wheels in your body. And then when you're ready, you can come home and do another crashing wave. And shake it out, and maybe give yourself another little swing. Or I should sit over here so they can see me. And then we'll go to the other side. Okay, and same thing. I purposely am standing without looking at you because I think that's better. This is a very private situation, and very, just really feeling your roots connected. Nobody's looking at you. If you're looking at anything, you're looking at oh my gosh, they took down a tree. I always used to
Oh,
look at
that one that
trees.
was right there, yeah.
Oh, that's so crazy. Arnie's gonna be so upset. He's a guy that comes to my class and he was like, I've been coming for 18 years and I always use that tree as my gaze point. Oh, life changes, you know? Gotta find a new gaze point. So anyway.
It's a bitch.
Yeah, yes.
That's what my Zen chaplain friend always says.
I love that you brought that up because that's why I think all this stuff came about. The yogis developed this whole system, you know, like, yeah, man, you know, I did all the right stuff. I put whatever horse manure on my plants, you know, and they still, you know, they're gone. So, yeah. So all these practices are exactly for that reason. That's so weird. Have a good laugh with Arnie about that. Okay, so let's just go ahead and come on back to our mountain again. And just in these standing poses, rock back and forth, and maybe even tap your feet a little bit like this. And then, without looking down, stop and put your feet down, okay? And leave them. Leave them where they are. Don't look or anything. And then we're going to just take our right hand up towards the sky, press down into your right foot, but lift your toes so you can feel the arch. And then as you reach from your heel up through your leg, feel your pelvic floor lift, feel your low belly lift, and then all the way up to the back of the throat. Keep lifting, reaching. And then from here, we're going to sway over to the left and just let your hips press to the right. And then coming back up, reaching for a moment, and then just relax it down. And then do the same thing with the other side. So again, we're just feeling how the contribution of these lower chakras help us to feel. So we're moving from our roots up to the seed, up through our midsection. And then when you're in position, go ahead and feel that the bond is working. As you lift your toes and feel your arch lifting of your foot, that's your padavana, your foot. Mula bandha. As you exhale, you feel the four bones in the base of your pelvic are moving towards each other. Uddiyana bandha, you feel your navel moving to your spine. Throat chakra, you feel there's a slight lifting. Like these are all considered like diaphragms of the foot, pelvic floor, low belly, up to the back of your throat. And take it in. And when you're ready, come on down and give it a shake. And then separating your feet more, just keeping your hips sort of moving with your knees. We're going to go to the right, to the left, and again, just do some of that action. Okay? And back to center. I didn't even think about starting music, but that's okay. Let's go on down to the floor now, and we'll do a little bit of a practice. Okay? So
we're gonna start, let's see if I have any places I definitely wanted to get to. We're gonna start in easy cross-legged seat, Sukhasana, because we wanna find our sweetness first. Oh, like, oh, this feels so good, I'm so cozy, you know? And then kind of build, so Sukha means sweetness or openness. Dukkha means closed, or they both come from the word whole. Am I right, Jared? Whole dukkha, sukha. Do you know about that?
No.
I lived in Hawaii for a while, and puka, we've got puka shells, and we would grab it, but it's like a little shell with a hole in it. And so when I learned about yoga, it was like, oh, so sukha, because it reminded me of puka, is like, it's got a sweet hole in it. You might think of a jelly donut or something. And dukkha has a bad hole in it. So we want to be sukha right here. We feel sweet. We feel like our center is that sweet spot. And just let yourself rise above it. Okay? Now within this, let's build a little bit of a structure. You might imagine that your spine is like an axis, like we have this axis in the center of our studio here. Only of course, even though the energy is flowing directly like that and is open like that, there's curves in our spine. And curves in any kind of building situation, that's why the Roman arches lasted so much longer than other structures that came before it. The curves help distribute tension. So as you breathe, feel as if you're breathing down from your brain, down through your neck, your upper back, your lower back, down your sacrum, your tail, and back up again. It's an undulating line, right? It's not a straight line. Our body is more about spirals and arches than exactly straight lines. So you can see why so long ago when the yogis were sitting around trying to deal with, nothing being exactly as you'd hoped it would be and things happening. In yoga, it's called Parina Mavarata. It means stuff happens, things happen, shifts come, okay? So just kind of feeling that action. And very purposefully now, we're gonna breathe from our nostrils, feeling as if our breath is moving up for a moment, up to that third eye, up to our brain, taking in from the outside, bringing it up to our brain, and then feeling it moving down through our body, all the way down to your tail, and then back up. And not to say whether to breathe in or breathe out at any particular point, just feeling that action. And you might feel the next time you do that as if you're bringing some very sweet nectar, like you're a hummingbird that's just drawn some nectar from a plant. You're drawing it in, bringing it up to your brain, and taking it all the way down. In yoga, this nectar is called rasa. And each of us probably have a different idea of what we think sweet nectar would be like. You might feel a little bit like you're just kind of cleansing that area with your sweet breath, moving down and up. And then noticing that on either side of the spine, there's some energy. And we already talked about this as being on the left, the Ida, the feminine, on the right, the masculine, the more active. And these are associated again with the parasympathetic response, the relaxation response associated with the Ida, the feminine, and the sympathetic, the more active. We need them both. We need them both equally. We need them both to be balanced. This is how our system was created. This is how we are here still today. There's a balance between these two. There's an opening and there's a balance. Homeostasis. And our yoga practices, our Ayurvedic practices, which are yoga practices, are all about trying to bring balance to this and to clear the way as we move down this pathway, down this, it's like the Amazon River. The Amazon delivering goods to our door and helping us return them when we no longer need them. This is happening in our body. Now take your hand to your low belly, one hand, it doesn't matter which, and imagine down there, this is gonna start getting a little weird, that there's a serpent in the low belly, and this is called, in my training, Jessica Char's training, this is the Kundalini. And when the Kundalini is sleeping, it's blocking the energy to the rest of our body. We want to unblock so that the Kundalini rises. So take your hand from your low belly and imagine that your breathing is helping to unblock the pathway, wake up the Kundalini spirit so that the energy is moving up through the center axis of your body, all the way up to your crown, and just moving back and forth like that. As we take our energy down to the Kundalini, igniting the fire, waking up the serpent, the smoke comes up and we can open up the channel. And then you can imagine that prana that has been freed to flow everywhere is flowing everywhere in your body. The whole center axis is allowing energy to be spilled into every cell in your body. Every cell is receiving, and then every cell is letting go, letting out. The letting out is called the apana vayu. The breathing in is called the prana vayu. The apana vayu does not just mean down. We do let energy out through the base of our body, but it also is moving out through every pore in our skin, and we're receiving energy from every pore in our skin into every cell in our body. Our fascia, our bones, our muscles, everything receiving. So you can just visualize this happening. We already have talked about how the energy at the base of our body is more related to earth, our feeling of being stable and supported and being able to belong and tethered to the earth so we don't go flying off into space. That was a worry of mine when I was young. And then our second is the root, the seed. The third, our fire. Okay, so let's go ahead and relax a moment and let go of that. And just take a moment and bring your feet out in front of you and rock your knees side to side a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to, I'm going to get off my bolster and come on down to the ground with our heels and rock your knees side to side. And then coming back with your feet together like this. And you could stay up on a bolster if you wanted. I just felt more comfortable not to. Looking down at your feet, like we did when we were standing in mountain pose. Take your toes back and look down. You'll see that little arch. That's your Pada Bandha again. Now, as you're sitting here, and you might be leaning back like this, it doesn't matter, but wherever you're at, with your pelvic floor, see if you can feel those bones that are on your pelvic floor. And as you exhale, that's going to feel like a lift from your feet up. You're going to feel that. Take your toes back, feel the arch in your foot increase, pelvic floor, the bones come together, low belly, navel to spine, back of your throat lifting up. Now as you inhale, relax completely. Let's do that a few times more. Inhale down your back body, exhale, lift up your front body. Feel all those arches increasing. A couple more times. And then we're going to go ahead, and you can still breathe, but I just wanted to impress that breathing a lot there at the beginning. Now try to move back to it every now and then as you're moving. Begin to move into, this is tortoise pose. Tortoise pose, if you were to Google it, if you Google a lot of yoga postures, they're going to look really weird. So be careful of what you Google. I'm a big fan of Google, but you can't believe everything you read. So anyway, take your hands under here. If you were to look up turtle pose or tortoise pose, you would be seeing a picture of the person who's doing its feet as they are right now behind their head, and you standing on your hands. Okay, but we're not going to do that today unless you want to. If you're compelled to do that, do it. But right now we're going to come into tortoise pose so we can feel this little coming into our center. The chakras we can still be aware of as we're breathing. But now we're in a position as a turtle where we've pulled into our center, our soft center. Our spine is our shell. Our head can pull into our shell, and we can come in to this energy of moving deeply into our center. We're going to slide our hands out, slowly come up, take your hands behind you, and we're going to move into a little bit of a back bend. So take your head of your arm bones and pull them back, squeeze your shoulder blades together, engage your bandhas. You're going to lift your toes, arches are engaged, lift your pelvic floor, lift your low belly, lift the back of your throat, but take it into a little bit of a back bend. Take a deep inhale, exhale out the mouth in 2 puffs. Let's take another deep inhale, going way down to the serpent, to the base of your belly, to where the serpent is sleeping, and feel as if your exhale is liberating him. And then from here, we're going to land our hands more flat on the ground, and we're going to bring our feet into this pose. Is a version of turtle pose, but there's a story of the turtle churning the sea to help get rid of, this is another dragon, lots of dragons in the mythology, and just kind of feel yourself like you're churning, going back and forth. You're going to churn the sea so you can taste the nectar in it. You can taste the rasa. So that's what he does. The rasa is supposed to be in the lore, the old lore, the nectar of infinity, okay, of which we're all part. Okay, just rock you back and forth. You might stay and really allow yourself to twist. And then, so that's another thing the turtle does. And so then we're going to come on back. Turtles teach us many lessons. We're going to take our left heel over to right in front of our right hip. Okay, take a moment, breathe down your back body, zip up the front body, take a deep inhale. Use your exhale to start the fire. Let that serpent climb up and out. And then we're going to go ahead and take this right foot, if it feels okay, over your left leg. If it doesn't feel okay, keep it where it is. And then take your hand to your heart, and we're going to take our heart and our navel over to the right, open up our hand, and then take your fingertips down. Inhale down your back body, exhale, lift. The fire lifts all the way up, clearing the spine. You might, if you don't want to think of a serpent at the base of your spine, it's almost like a chimney sweep, getting rid of the stuff. This pose is called Matsyendrasana. Matsyendrasana is the I guess he wasn't a monk, but he was he was a scholar of yogic philosophy, a guru maybe of some sort. He wasn't really a guru, but anyway, he was a good fisherman, and he got swallowed by a fish, and he lived in the fish for many, many, many years, meditating, and he was one day freed by Krishna because he was so patient and such a good meditator. So here we are in this really deep meditation state. And then from here, come back, and we'll just come back into tortoise pose, hands under, chin in. Tortoise to side tortoise, coming over and churning out over to the left, and turn and come back a few times. And then we just go into Lord of the Fishes when you're ready on the other side. And just feel yourself very patiently waiting and listening. That's kind of the idea. And then we're going to come back to center. And bring your feet together just for a moment. Lift up your heart. And then if it works, climb your hands down a little bit more. Can you keep your spine straight, finding those curves in your spine? So again, curving inward at the neck, curving inward at the low back, and outward at the back of the head, the thoracic, and the sacrum. Let your breath undulate up that. So you might know this. Sorry, I repeat stuff a lot because I don't know if everybody's heard it. Your secondary curves are your cervical at your neck and your lumbar, because these two curves came about secondarily after you came out of the womb. So they're a little bit more vulnerable. So we tend to be careful. And these both are where we have bandhas to protect them. The Uddiyana bandha at the low belly and the Jalandhara bandha at the throat. So from here, we're going to go ahead and come on down, bring your feet to the ground, all the way down. Take your hands to your low belly. And as you exhale, press your low back into the ground, and you'll feel with your hands that that muscle where your low belly has tightened. Inhale, let your low back arch. Exhale, low back to the ground. Okay, we're going to add something to it. Inhale, low back arches. Exhale, low back to the floor, and lift your feet up. Stay there as you inhale. Exhale, lower your heels down slowly. Okay, so now you know what we're going to do. If you don't want to do it with your heels off the ground, you don't have to, or you might just lift one heel off the ground. But we're going to do it just a couple more times to really feel that sense of the serpent at the base of your belly. Here we go. Deep inhale, let your back arch. Exhale, low back into the ground. Lift your feet as you're inhaling. Either go down with your feet or take your feet out on a diagonal. Bring your knees back in and down on your exhale. Okay, try that again. If you want to breathe differently than I'm breathing, do. But basically what we're doing is paying attention to our breath. And on your exhale, really feeling your low back press to the ground. Feeling your exhale as a catalyst for action. And then if you want to add a little bit more, take your hands behind your head. And as you exhale, we're going to lift our feet and our shoulders. As you inhale, extend your legs as some of you do, and lift your shoulders more. And when you're ready, on an exhale, back down with your feet and your hands. Okay, if you want to do that again, do it again. Exhale, up with your shoulders, up with your feet. Inhale, feet out, chest higher. Exhale, all the way down. Okay, so play with that 3 more cycles of breath, however you want to do it. You could do just your shoulders. You can do just your feet. You can do any combination of those that you do. Because I was reading through my journals so much in the last 2 weeks, this is an Annie Carpenter. It's called the Annie Carpenter Crunch. But she, I picked it up because I read my journals again. And then when you're ready, we're going to go ahead and stay all the way down with our feet on the ground and take one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. I'm going to sit up so you can hear me better, I think, than me laying down. Do anything that you feel like you'd like to do here. Maybe you're like, oh man, I really need to take my knees over to the right, to the left. I'd like to push up into a bridge pose, whatever feels interesting to you. We're going to do breath work on our back. Oh, happy baby. Jared, this is what I was telling people. I took a bunch of pictures that I'm going to make a baby yoga thing one of these days. But my little, just superstar grandson, Cyrus, who's 7 months old, he just is the best little yogi. He does have a baby with just oh my gosh, I have just discovered the most interesting thing in the world to do. My life is complete. He sucks his toes, he laughs, he rolls around. So be like a baby in your yoga practice. Try to have fun with it here, this little moment of freedom. And then he turns around and he goes on his belly and he does cobra and lotus and he's just, a perfect little yogi. And that's what, we're going for, is to try to get rid of, burn that, wake up that serpent at the base of our body that says we have to do everything the same all the time. We're all different. We're all unique. And our uniqueness is what helps our species evolve. Okay, now we're going to do 2 breath techniques. The first one is fire breath. You probably do it standing a lot, and we'll do it standing later on, but meaning if you're ready. Or if you want, you could go ahead and come up to a seated position. If you'd rather fire breath seated. But we're going to take our hand to our low belly, and we focused on our exhale actively just a moment ago, because we're exhaling from our low belly. We breathe in and then we exhale and fill our belly and move towards the ground and lift our knees. So now we're going to take a few breath cycles where whether you're sitting or lying down, a fire breath like this. You take your, I like to do the bar mudra, fingers in towards the little pegs there, thumbs out. This is fire breath, looks like that. And you can just kind of put your thumbs, if you're lying down, on your hips. And if you're seated, you can do the same thing. And we're just going to do an active exhalation like this. So you can probably feel that muscle working, squeezing. I think of this as squeezing the bottom of the toothpaste. Squeeze it out. Okay? And I'm not going to do very many, so when you're ready, just go ahead and relax then. And then the next thing we're going to do, if you want, you can reach next to you for a blanket or for a bolster and put underneath the lengthwise your spine. If you're doing it like this, you're going to fold it like this and put this down your spine. You can stay exactly where you're at right now if you want. So it doesn't matter, just kind of giving you different little options. It can feel really, really good. Okay. This is, I don't know if you've ever Googled for a pranayama pillow, but if you have a roll underneath your spine, just create your own pranayama pillow. So you can save yourself $40. So you can make these yourself. It's just what it's doing is you can feel that your spine is lifted, kind of off the ground. Okay? Yeah. And you may feel that that's more than you want. Another thing you want to do is get your hips to the ground. There, you see how that feels. Now, if anybody wants that blanket underneath your head, because that can feel good too. Okay? And remember those channels that we talked about, the Ida and the Pingala? We're going to imagine that we're breathing down those rivers, and we're going to feel like, and you don't have to be exactly, 7 intersections, the 7 chakras. You could just kind of feel like, okay, they're crossing at my low belly, they're crossing at my mid belly, they're crossing my heart, they're crossing my throat, they're crossing up there, and meet up there between my eyes. So if you want, you can do that, okay? And you can attribute a color to it. Orange maybe for your Pingala, and maybe white for your purple. Purple and orange both together. So you can do whatever you want. But we're going to just breathe a few times and just visualize that you're taking your breath from your nostrils to both of them and just kind of going down. We're going to do alternate nostril breathing in just a moment, but we're going to just kind of get the idea first here. Just breathing down both of them and back up both of them. Now, feel like you're starting your breathing. You're kind of coming up to, all the way up to your third eye with your breath. We did that earlier. Inhale up to your third eye, and then let your breath move all the way back down again. So just back and forth. It doesn't matter if you're inhaling down or exhaling up, just for right now. Just finding that pathway, digging a groove in the snow, so to speak. A little pathway. So you can feel how your breath is moving. Let's just swing back to our Western anatomy right now. At the base of your brainstem is where your vagus nerves start. So the vagus nerves run from the bottom of your brainstem. They're the longest cranial nerve string in your body. They run all the way down to your lower gut, your lower abdomen. So you visualize that right now. Visualize that nerve, and it's called the vagus nerve because it's a vagabondy nerve. It vagabonds around. It doesn't go directly straight down. It has a lot of little branches and kind of wavy things going on in it. And just visualizing your breath is just kind of eliciting action in that nerve. The purpose of that nerve, the vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve in the body, your cranium is pretty darn important. The purpose of that brain is to help you relax. It serves as a big vehicle for eliciting the parasympathetic response, which elicits that distribution in your body, not just of prana, but of all kinds of, it's kind of like a pharmacy in your brain. And your vagus nerve is like the pharmacist kind of sending the signal, hey, you guys out there, let's put out some dopamine, let's put out some of this, put out some of that. So let your body kind of feel that distribution happening. You can think of it as just good prana, good energy, or you can think of it as specifically different hormones. They're affecting both the East and the West ideas of who we are. And now, if you're feeling pretty good where you're at, you can stay there, or if you're like, well, now I kind of like to sit up, you could do that. So whatever feels good. You could also, we're taking a momentary break from this work. You might just breathe naturally, you might do like a fire breath, just whatever you feel would be a good way for you to kind of cleanse the palate, so to speak. That's another thing about cleansing. When we're doing a food tasting, gastronomical, something to do with our taste buds, we cleanse our palate between bites. You don't eat a bunch of this and then a bunch of that. We kind of go, oh, now what was that taste? What's that taste? Okay, so once you're ready to go, now we're going to do alternate nostril breathing. So we're going to focus on the left first. So breathe, so you can, I just do it the easy way. There's all different kinds of, it's like this and this. If you want. You can do this. I just kind of go like this, so whatever makes sense to you. But you're not closing it off, so you're like, you're just gently, just giving it that gentle, subtle feel. Okay. So we change on the exhale. So here it goes. So I'm going to go like this so I don't mess you up, and so I don't mess myself up. So my thumb is on my right nostril. I'm going to inhale into my left nostril. I'm going to close off my left and exhale my right. I'm going to inhale through my right, exhale my left. Inhale through my left, exhale my right. Inhale right, exhale left. Just feeling that action. Stop whenever you feel like you need to. And then let's just do for a few more cycles and release. Your hands down to your lap. You have your palms open, or if, everybody's sitting up now. Okay. And just feel again as if your breath is moving evenly, both nostrils down to your base. Wake up the serpent. Release. And then let's just open up our eyes for a moment. Just kind of notice how you feel. Just notice if you felt, sometimes it's just that you feel stuffy on one side. And then we'll just switch it up and begin on the other side. So we can do that. You can just come this way in. Inhale it. To the right. Exhale to the left. When you're ready to, you feel kind of like you've done about the same on both sides, you can go ahead and let yourself come back to center. So feeling the verticality of all that pull in the center of our body, but also in the room, and just knowing that what we really want to do is to keep that open, so we're more able to move freely, that obstruction. And then we're going to take these into some flows. Okay, so we're just going to do some standing stuff, just some easy standing poses. Does anybody have any question? Any comments? Anything? Okay. Does your head feel any different? Do you feel any calmer, more present, or anything? A little bit? Anything? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's really nice. It's whatever you want to think of yoga, because I used to have to justify it a lot when I first started back in Missouri. And, you know, if nothing else, it's a little hypnotic. It gives your brain something to be focused on and that's rhythmic so you can kind of get less, you're less distracted. It's a way of cleaning out your brain a little bit. So in yoga, in the 8 limbs of yoga, it obviously has to do with, you know, the lower limbs, but it's definitely that pathway into the deeper levels of meditation. Is everybody aware of the 8 limbs? I should have probably started with that. Okay, so we don't have to go there. So, by the way, these chakras are oftentimes linked to the 8 limbs of yoga because, you know, before we can do asana is usually associated with the Manipura chakra. We have to have the ethics of being connected to the world. That's our root chakra. That would be the yamas, and the niyamas being connected to our own truth, which is considered the niyamas. How I remember that is ni is the opposite of in. So the niyamas are a little bit more inwardly stuff, more stuff specific to us, the ethics that are pertaining to us. The yamas are more the ethics that pertain to the world at large. So it's just my mnemonic. You might have another one, and I'm sure there's a Sanskrit meaning to ni, and it is something to do with, something to do with that. Okay, so let's start out. I'm just going to do some really basic movements. I'm not even going to take off my socks. Oh, you have purple today.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. My husband just had surgery 2 weeks ago. What did they say? Saturday. 2 weeks ago yesterday. Back surgery, and he got rid of his color for his surgery. I don't know why, but he's like,
No, they want you to. You're
Oh.
not supposed to wear it because they need to be able to see what's happening.
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. He read the fine print.
They probably told them you have to do it.
Yeah.
You need to be able to see what's happening.
It was successful, so that's a good thing. I actually think I'm going to start over here because that way I'm going to keep this really simple. So we have time.
People can see.
Oh, thank you. Here I am. Okay. Okay, here we go. So I'll do it here. So we are going to stand. I'm going to bring my mat over here. So we're going to stand in kind of like we did before in our horsey stance. So just kind of give yourself a shake. Maybe come back to this a little bit. Maybe do a crashing leg. Okay. And then we're just going to take our right heel out a little bit and point your left toe towards the front of the room. Okay. Find your levelness of your pelvic girdle. You want to feel what feels good to you. We'll test it out, do a little test run, coming up and down. And I always recommend when you're teaching people to do this because they've done a lot of studies, especially with women who are postmenopausal, that this pose has done a lot of damage to a lot of women's hips. Because when I first started back in the 70s, you had someone coming on you and pushing you. You have to have these parallel, and this has to be right angle. Get down, and so we did, but that's not good for you. So why I'm going to that long thing is because you guys are all teachers, and for some people need to do this. I myself remember telling people, get that hip down. That can cause some impingement, which is resulted in some bursitis in people's women, especially into their hips. So come up and down a few times to see what feels good to you. And if this feels good, fine. If it feels better to go like this, do that. Okay? Just know what you're doing. And again, I saw this from Judith last year, one of my favorite teachers, yoga teachers. She said, every pose is a question. Okay? It's not the answer. The answer is your body. So as you move into these shapes, what is this shape telling me about my body? Is it telling me that I need to be more here or more there? So coming up and down, and then find where you need to be, or that feels good to you,
And then we'll take our arms out and just, again, like our conversation before the class. Does this feel okay? Or would you feel better with your arms in cactus? Or would you feel better with them on your hips? Okay? If you're dealing with different populations, there's a lot of people that their shoulders don't feel like doing this for as long as we're going to do it. So come to what feels good. We're going to inhale down, feel that breath moving down to the base. Exhale, pulling up. So we're still kind of thinking that verticality as we go down. Exhale up. You can feel yourself coming all the way down to your roots of your toes, all the way back up. Okay, now we're going to take that breath down. And as you exhale, look over your right shoulder. Inhale, look over your left shoulder. Exhale, let's sink down. Inhale, take your left arm up. Exhale, take your left elbow to your left thigh. Inhale, lengthen from your right heel to your right fingers. Exhale, back to warrior two. Okay. There was nothing magical about what I just said. There wasn't a magic reason why I did inhale, we did this, exhale, we did this. So, but just keep that in mind. We're going to test ourselves now and see, oh yeah, let's come feet together, and then also I like what Mary said. What does your body need? Maybe you just want to go. So please, you know, if you weren't students, and I didn't know you, I would not say this. But since I feel like you guys, I'm trying to say this is about you finding your authentic voice, and about you doing what's right for your body. Do it. When you're ready, let's come back up. And we're going to do the other side.
I was gonna suggest you just turn that this way, so that when it's-
Because I can't stay put.
Next job to do is hard.
Did you say it takes a village to
No, I said next job, videographer.
Yeah, well, it does take a village to teach a yoga class, and I think it's a really good thing to get that out of the way right away, because if you think you have to be perfect, I love my yoga teacher, I believe, Eric Schiff, who was perfect, he's perfect, but he was the first person to say, what did I just do? And then you just love it, it's like, what do you, yeah, he's modeling, as a yoga teacher, you model what you are trying to teach. Okay, and let's just go back and forth, or whatever you want to do. I'm not going to look, you're in your body. You're like my grandson, Silas, just like, whoa, this is kind of cool. Just feel yourself being playful, okay? And after you finish that, then we will go back to doing whatever you feel like doing in the middle, okay? And then we'll all meet up when you're ready. Have a little picture, come back into mountain. And just see if you can kind of feel that flowing in your body. Check in. So do you guys all know about koshas? What koshas are? Okay, koshas, there's so many names that start with K. Koshas, kleshas, karma. Koshas are like a Russian doll. You are made, like if you look at her, you might say, oh, well, there's a primary of her body. But underneath that, then there's the, and that's called the anamaya kosha, and it's your body. It's the thing, ama means food. So it's things that are sustained by food. Anamaya kosha is your outer ring. Right underneath that is your pranamaya kosha. That's what we're working on, the breath, the life force, the energy, that energy of it. And right below that, so if you get the Russian dolls, and we're coming in smaller, and we're into the Manamaya kosha. The Manamaya kosha is your intellect, your mind, what's going on in your mind, what's going on in your heart. It's that, it's all that kind of stuff. Underneath that is your vision of Maya kosha. Vision of Maya kosha is it sounds like vision, it's like that starting to get, that's where we go, that's that really deeper level of where your need is. And then we go even deeper, and that's your, on my, another kosher, which is bliss. And that's where you, another means bliss, that means, oh, I get it, yeah, I am being specific instruction of the life lesson, we're all brothers and sisters, I get it, okay. So that's who each of us are. And so when we're doing this thing, we're all those layers are involved. The outer layers involved, all that stuff's involved when we're doing our asanas. And so, yeah, I think that's a cool thing to remember. And especially if you're a teacher or how we're going to be using yoga as parts of healing modalities, just to realize there's a lot going on and what we can do with the body. Because the body is kind of the most, accessible. We can start getting into those other layers and bring freedom and bring energy to all that stuff. So, any questions? Okay, so all these poses you can see, you can work a lot. The prana maya kosha is when you really start going deeper into the mind and the emotions and all that kind of stuff. You might see things bubbling up and all that. So, and of course, we really want people to feel as their own freedom, their Atman is part of that Dharma too. It's really important that uniqueness that you have is important. Okay, so let us now do fire breath standing up. Okay, so fire breath is here, but they can see you. Yeah. So we're going to be here, and I just love this in this position because you can just really feel it. I see more grandkid stories. We had to take them to this place where they're driving these little cars over there in Meridian or someplace, that car place where you drive go-karts, yeah, go-karts. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, and you're just like, things in it. So you're just feeling like that, and feeling kind of even, you might bring some tension to it, and we'll do some fire breath, just real, like maybe 15 seconds. Just showing that my belly's gonna work, not my shoulders. And I'm gonna take deep down. We're gonna take that serpent and we're gonna go up and off your booty and let things flow. Okay? So you can do that a couple times, and just to get that feeling, just dig, you might just visualize it, a little hole down in that serpent, just kind of clogging things up. You might feel like it's a big drain that you're unclogging. Some of you are just coughing up and releasing. Okay? And then we're going to take this into another standing pose. These are called open hip poses, by the way. When your hips are either one leg or both legs are in external, this is open hip. They're both in abduction, they're both in external rotation. Now we're going to go move into, and I think it's not a bad idea to do this. Doug, we can do more of this, and then kind of feel your way into triangle. So triangle, find your hand here first, and then go deeper, but don't lock your knee. Take your hands to your heart. Let's take our heart a little bit more towards the sky. Remember, from your tailbone to the bottom of your ribcage, your vertebrae all move together. They're like this. They gotta go like this. When you get to your ribcage, they can start going like this. Okay, so just when you turn, be careful that it doesn't hurt your low back. And then you can open up your arms and let's do some of that same breathing in a way that makes sense to you here. You might inhale, open, and exhale, come in. I don't want you too much speed skating. Just come in and you come down. You know what I mean? Just tap into your ear. Oh my gosh. Is she just amazing or what?
Historical.
When she got on that stage, it was just her on, she was just like, oh. And if you want, you can take it into flying. Really deep. You go to the other side. So why I'm doing this is just as a teacher to show that you can give your students a feeling of freedom. I guess the word is you can give them agency, you can empower them to be more playful and to respect themselves. Okay, so they don't have to be like, you're getting yourself out of the picture.
Yeah, I can't remember, I did it in an exercise class, but like, oh, I'm gonna mix this with yoga, but it was just like super simple, but it was a lunge, and just taking out hair and creating it with the bra, and then like, and it was so fun. Like,
Yeah.
it was just, and a lot of people were like, oh, that felt so good, but it's just getting that out of the head. And it's
I know, and sometimes I was going to this therapist this weekend, and she's great, I just love her so much, but she was doing these things, and while she's doing it, I'm like, well, you could just kind of, instead of just going, you could, you could do this and stuff, and so I think that is one of the great things about it. And Doug's gonna get way more into this, because I was intending to be more the vertical, aspect of all this stuff we're talking about, the spine and all that. And then we can go into a little bit more flowy stuff, but yeah, we're kind of hinting in that.
It's all within the same realm.
Yeah, but it is I think that's one of the differences of the yoga stuff is a little bit more structured, and linear, and then Chinese is a little more flowy.
Yeah, because I did an all female class one time, and they asked me, because the day before we had done like a feminine movement class, and they're like, can we do like hips? Because a lot of them are like, they're so tight. And I'm like, yeah, and it was so fun. It was like, and I had a girl at the end who was crying, and she's like, I've never been able to move like that before. But sometimes I just, you get so stuck in like holding, or even in classes I'm in, I'm like,
Yeah.
and it was just such a fun class, like
Yeah.
to do with these women, and now I like added in my classes, and
Good.
I wouldn't have thought about it, but she asked.
You did?
And I'm like, yes, like.
Yeah, you're giving them permission to be themselves.
And that's what yoga is really about, right?
Yeah.
Coming back to ourselves and listening
Yeah.
to that place.
It did get kind of dogmatic there for a while, and that's why when I was reading that stuff this morning to all, from John Stapleton, I think that was really a value. Again, when I first started out, I started at Yanmar, and not literally, I think he said it, but his students, and it was so much like,
Well, it's your pose.
almost tumultuous. Yeah. Well, it was. Do you know that? I'm sure you all do.
Yeah.
That was started out for the whole physical education movement came during the late 1800s because of nationalism, all the different countries going, we gotta get our guys strong, let's get going, So in India did yoga, and that's where they came up with sun salutations, because it was to get them going, and they really borrowed it from Swedish. Well, they did, Swedish and German, they were kind of people that were way into, more into physical
The more
education.
the calisthenics.
Yes, and calisthenics, that's what I'm looking for, yeah. And so, okay, good, great time. Yes, great time.
It's 1:40, what time do you want to start again?
You could start, I was supposed to allow you guys to eat a little bit ago in my mind. Because we're going to talk about how digestion, think of when you're eating, how digestion is part of that whole thing. Your third chakra, we're digesting stuff, we're digesting ideas and all that stuff, so food as well. So you can say, how long do you want to say? He's starting at 2:30.
Yeah, 2:30. We can start early if we want, but
Yeah.
up to you.
What would you guys like to do? Let's vote. How long do you want to stay for lunch? In lunch, you don't have to, you could go someplace if you want, there is a place right here, but I did bring chocolate, really decent chocolate, dark chocolate, and walnuts and crackers.
We put it on the back end because I couldn't find a wall.
And there is a kitchen, I can go.
I've been thinking about baguettes forever lately, so I'm like, I love that we did that. I'm gonna buy a baguette.
And you can bring food in, but there is a kitchen
Something
that
about a baguette.
has not or something, it has a way of picking things. So, this was a Boise Co-op, I don't know if you guys.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Cool.
It was. And this was, the whole place, so it's a big portion. Because I remember where the kitchen was where the restaurant thing was. So that's, that way.
How long ago? Like 30 years
Um,
ago?
It was, well, I would say definitely in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
So yeah, that makes sense.
Much bigger than the Fort.
Yeah, it was great. It was, so,
It's 1:39, if you want to take an hour or if you want to take a half hour, let's start early.
is that included?
I would prefer to start early. I don't have a lot to eat. That's just me.
Oh, I got,
I have some snacks, but I ate a little like before.
Yeah,
I
I
got
make
here.
sure I eat before, but that's.
you want to eat, you want to come at.
Go ahead, start at 2.
At least a little, we can come back and.
Really,
Yeah, I just.
I'm not gonna eat this whole bag. It's stale.
And you guys, here's, this and, chocolate.
I was like, she's
So good.
Yeah, they're so good. It's like the chicken and biscuit ones. They're horrible, but we get them on road trips.
And that's why I brought them, we've had them, they're kind of good if we have it, you're outside, it's not great.
See, look, you're good chocolate.
I didn't have one like that. No, you can have all this, my husband didn't like it because it's too, he likes dark-ish chocolate, and this is.
I like dark chocolate.
This is a strong dark chocolate.
You love that 90% or
Right under the-
85?
I don't know, it's pretty high, and this one says it's
It's 73%.
72.
Oh, yeah, I don't eat the 7%.
Yeah, so this is here, nuts, I guess nuts and chocolate, we need something to drink, some water. Yeah.
Pretty full body.
Sorry, can I look at this?
Yes, please, there's so
I'm
much
doing a
here.
children's, somebody asked, doing a children's one on Tuesday. I was like, oh, yeah,
You should take that.
I was like, I can do that. And so when you said it, I'm like, oh, I should
Do
do
it.
that. So I love that.
Yeah. So
So
that,
did you say the masculine was the right side? Or was
It
it?
is.
Okay. I just, like, my right side has been really weird ever since everything happened to my daughter. And it's like I've been fully like even when I practice, one arm is lower.
yeah,
My leg, and it's like the weirdest thing, I'm trying to figure it out. It's like
Yeah.
freaking me out, but
and
it's
it's,
So I can blame all men for my bad knee.
yeah.
men.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I think we're
Yeah.
like together.
Well, there's a lot that's involved. You know, that's a thing, I mean, we're talking about energies,
Yeah.
and sometimes, you know, we think, well, the right side is, it's masculine, but it, you know, it can mean other things.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yes, yeah.
Well,
Well,
chocolate
let's,
feels like this anyway, so.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, in our.
But yeah, that is, those are the manuals, because we have a children's specialization, and that is those are, throughout time, I've had 3 different teachers who taught it, and I think that is all 3 of their manuals, so, you know, just if you use any of their stuff, just say where you got it from.
Yes, yeah.
Miss,
Miss Brown.
and, yeah.
So it looks like Marcia. Okay, she's down below.
Yeah. But,
Well, it's interesting because it's very similar to how I was thinking of doing the trauma
yeah,
workshops with a check-in. And even using scars.
it's really good because, they will give you time frames. Because for some ages, you know, different ages, it will take different,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
You have
For
to-
sure.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah. So, Kelly is an amazing teacher. She is good. She is one who, the last one who did the children's specialization. If you ever want to do that, let me know, because
Yeah.
you could do that. I have it online.
I was thinking.
I just want to teaching it now, and she's not teaching it now, but it can be done, you know, if it's something that you want to do.
Yeah, I've been thinking.
Yeah, there's all kinds, so these need to be.
Do you grandchildren? Do you do yoga with your grandchildren?
No, I do not. I live with my children, and my son has lived here. He's in my class a lot. My grandson's still in so much old. I'm teaching hard to me, you know that. And my, I know that kids teach you. Yeah, I love teaching. When I had my studio from McCall, I taught prenatal yoga. It was super popular there because we had the only studio, and we were very much tied with St. Luke's up there, and they sent all their pregnant women to us, and we had a big group, and then they all had their babies together, and not close, and then they all did, and I did mommy and me. And that was super popular, and then I did, after they grew up, and I did children, so it was
It
really
just
good.
kind of went through.
You know, that's ideal for me to do it.
Yeah. I don't see a lot of prenatal ones, but I'm probably not in it. You know what I mean? Like if I had a woman come to my class who's pregnant, and I was like so nervous. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, be so careful, do whatever your doctor told you. And yeah, she's like, no, I'm so early. It doesn't really matter.
There's a really good section on my platform for children,
For prenatal.
and there's also prenatal specialization as well, but the one that's for the 200-hour program, that is just the advice to give prenatal, if someone prenatal comes to your class, is really good, has all kinds of.
Okay, that would be good.
One woman that was with us yesterday, I think she's Indian.
Oh, Nina, keep up.
She is, you know, pregnant, so she is, was talking to our teacher about that.
Yeah, people just
She's,
found out.
she just found out.
Working weeks.
Oh, that's so exciting.
awesome.
It is, she really wanted it, she really
Yeah.
wanted it. She's gone through hell in this last year. She, first of all, came over here with her husband on a, what's that thing called,
Page one.
that thing,
Yeah.
that was to work, amazing.
Zoom.
PhD in computer engineering.
Probably my phone.
Yeah, my phone, sorry, yeah, and he
That's great.
is getting screwed around now, and then she, they just had so much hardship. Then now he has COPD.
Oh, no.
And her, she just had a bunch of stuff happen. She was applying, she did apply for her, to work with her, on her, she's in molecular, biochemistry, something, you know, with her, you know, vaccines and stuff like that. Actually, with another student in this program who is the director of the program. Anyway, so this being pregnant was what she really wanted. All those things. So she, her husband was, can we wait? She's like, I can't. We're going to do this. We're gonna do this now. So she is super excited. So I hope.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Is her mother here with her, or she's talking about her mother?
No, she needs,
She's on her own here.
yeah, she needs help. She needs, you know, people to just listen to her.
Yep.
Because she's going through a lot. So, she's
Like
great.
the doctor that I'm trying to certain after the last.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a nice thing about this program. You do it, it's, you know, it's kind of small so you can talk to people and feel like,
Yeah, but there was 4 of us yesterday, so it was nice.
yeah, I'm surprised there were 4 total, because there were originally 7.
I think there's 2. There's 6 of us last one.
Yeah. Yeah,
I was so hoping to be there, but it was good. It was good that
it's fun.
it was just so fun to watch her talk. She's little, she's like 11, and she did such a great job. She like talked about her own experiences. I was like,
Tell them,
Yeah, what?
oh, she was doing a talk for church, like for a church we go to. And it was just really sweet about like, she had found a book that she related to and was like, this is how I feel with like the spirit, and hearing the spirit in my life, like good themes. And so it was just really sweet to see her put it all together. She like rewrote the story on her own and just talked about having this experience where she's like, it really didn't feel good and I didn't trust myself. And and like how that kind of, so it was really cool. Yeah, I was like so proud of her.
Well, that is so good because,
Standing in front of people is just terrifying in itself.
But this best for leaders too.
Yeah. A lot of times people are like, did she write that herself? I'm like, she totally did. Like, it was like so good. I was like, she's so deep. She's such a deep thinker, and she's so into her, like, form it into words and then share it with people, which is
Should check this out.
You know what?
awesome.
You can always edit it out.
Yeah.
The strip.
I'm gonna end it, because then it'll be easier for people to look at.
So at first I was like, oh, I don't really have to be there, because I like it. But then I was out with her, helping her edit it and everything. And I'm like, oh, I really want to see her,
Oh, absolutely.
speak and like